what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome back to Found Footage Fridays, series where we talk about found footage on a Friday with my co-host, Mike and Serial.
Hey viewers, happy Found Footage Fridays. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope it's even better now that you're listening to us.
Well, when last we met, we had a lot of opinions about a newer found footage movie that just got kind of more of a bigger release. We're going to backtrack a little bit for today's episode and talk about a 2024 release, which, fun fact, did get nominated for the Sacred Crypt Awards. So the movie we are going to talk about today is the 2024 found footage movie, A Cold Grave. And I have a synopsis. It's very short, and I like that. Following his sister's disappearance, a young man must brave the dark woods, unveiling a chilling mystery and the secrets that lurk beneath. The poster for this is cool. You'll have seen it already because I would have edited into this general vicinity right here. All right, so let's jump into it. Unspoiled thoughts on A Cold Grave.
So my spoiler-free thoughts. This is a very low budget. It is very dependent on a singular person.
Yep.
Which is the lead, Roger, played by Benjamin Newmark, who also was nominated for a Sacred Crypt Award for Best Lead. I was captivated by his performance because I do like over-the-top acting. And I think he really nails what he needed to nail in that regard for me. This is going to be a movie that I understand it's not going to be for everyone. It is not the strongest movie in my eyes. However, I did have a solid enough time with this movie. I like the storytelling. I like Roger as a lead character. I think when we do start to get introduced to the other characters, that's where the movie does flounder a little bit, because they definitely we are going to say very, very closely inspired by the Blair Witch Project.
Yes.
Like, it's very, very inspired, and you can tell. It does start to meander a little bit. The 70-minute runtime starts to feel a little bit 90-ish from time to time.
Yep.
I don't hate this movie. I think there were some limitations. I think it did hold it back a little bit, but overall, it is a movie that I have seen more than once. So that should tell you something. And I know the type of people I would recommend it to. This wouldn't be a blind recommendation type movie for me to give, but I do know people who I would tell, like, you're going to like this movie, and I'm pretty sure that one of the people I would recommend it to has already seen it and does enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah, I was not a massive fan of this one, and here's why. I think if this had been done as a comedy, I think it would have worked a lot better. And God knows I don't ever say that. But I think that I live in the South. I am very sensitive to Southern accents when I feel like they are being treated a certain way, embellished, kind of, and for all I know, this guy could be really Southern. He could really talk that way, but there were parts I felt that were really forced. And I didn't really, as a Southerner who has spent a majority of her life not being able to be Southern because people treat you like you're an idiot when you have an accent, I just am very sensitive to that. I also did not think that there was enough going on, because it kind of starts out, and we'll get into this specifically in the spoilers, but it starts out kind of hyped. Like, there's a lot that happens in the first couple of minutes, and then there's nothing that happens until like the very end. And while that works in some formulas, it worked in Muir House for me, but didn't for you. It can be a very fine line for a lot of people. I think that my takeaways on the positive side is, I think that they made smart choices in whatever budget it did have, and utilizing it being more monologue driven, or just one person speaking to a camera, which is usually like a DNF for me. I get sick of those and they're boring to me. And I will say that the Southern, how I'm feeling about that aside, this didn't make me feel that way. I agree that it felt much longer, or I'll say it, I'll stretch what you said because that's not exactly what you said, but I did feel like it felt a lot longer than 70 minutes. But I think that's because we talk about found footage, we talk about lower budgets. This is a very indie project, which we love to see, but it was just one of those things where I needed something else to happen more often for it to be like my cup of tea. Um, and yes, I did notice the several the Blair Witch and stuff like that, which I think is another thing that does shine through on the positive is you can tell that there is definitely a passion for found footage,
Yeah.
which that's able to come through for a film always makes me happy because we love the subgenre. So I think that passion is there. I don't know if they made other found footage movies.
I'm almost certain he does, and I actually think he has a movie that came out this year, if I'm not confusing him with another director. But I'm pretty
Okay.
sure he has a movie called The Last Cabin that people were talking about for this year.
Oh,
Um,
I haven't seen that one.
so yeah, I know he makes a bunch of movies. I don't know if they're all found footage.
Found footage, right.
Um, to what you were saying, and this is where I will kind of agree with you, and I think the reason why it does feel longer than its runtime
Mhm.
is I'm going to be generous and it could possibly be longer, but I'm going to be generous and say at least 20 minutes of this movie is solo monologuing,
Yeah,
and that can feel very long.
very drawn out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, for me, because I was kind of like enamored by Roger, um, and then it just kept progressing like in
yeah,
his wildness.
yeah,
I think that's why it didn't feel super, super drawn out, but it did at
yeah,
times. Yeah, you're gonna feel that. And then the other
yeah.
thing that you kind of said that kind of struck me because I had this down in my notes too. Um, I kind of took this as a comedy.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm
I don't think I
wondering.
watched it through a comedy lens, but I did feel like it could be because it's just because of the way he like you said, there's some overacting.
Yeah.
But you do to me, at least for me, I did feel like that was intentional. Like it didn't feel
Oh,
like
yeah, like
acting can make or break found footage movies for
100%.
real. But this felt intentional, and that's why I was it kind of gave me like comedy vibes. Like not Deadstream because I didn't really like that kind of comedy, but like it just kind of felt like yeah, I'm looking for my sister and I don't know, there's just something
Yeah.
about it that kind of
That's
felt
why
like
I was
that.
like, I kinda read it comedy
Okay.
because of that, and
Okay.
maybe that is part of the reason why, like, it was easier for
I wonder
me
what it's
to
listed as.
move along with this movie,
Yeah,
um,
I could see
but
that.
I can
Um,
from your side too, I can definitely see, like, the reservations on this movie because again, it's 70 minutes, and for me, it felt 20 minutes extra
yeah.
than what it was.
It's the hat too. You know what I mean?
He really cared about his hat.
The hat was a big part of like his persona.
Yeah.
You know what else I will say too? And it doesn't matter because I try not to sound like I'm like rewriting people's movies, but the initial beginning, well, it's not really a big spoiler. When he's showing the pictures and he's talking about his family, or I mean, he's talking about his sister. If he'd leaned into that and done more of a mockumentary, I genuinely think this would have been more up my alley. But interviewing people who have been in the woods, interviewing
Yeah.
people of other people that have gone missing, or just kind of playing into like that side of it. Cause I thought that's the direction it was going to go in. Cause I went
It
in,
feels like that.
it does feel that way. It just doesn't lean into it that much. Um, but yeah, I guess what do you rate this one?
So for me, because like I said, I'll give this a 5. I will give this
Okay.
a 5. Again, it's a tailored type of found
I agree.
footage.
I agree.
For me, it works enough to say I enjoyed it,
Mhm.
but there were a lot of places where it could have been finessed to be a better movie, and
Mhm.
it's not, even though I have revisited it,
Mhm.
I may not revisit that much more.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm down a few notes from that. Out of 10 tapes, I would say I should already know this going into the episode, but I never do. I just do it off by the seat of my pants. I'm going to go up from what I was originally going to say, and I'm going to give it a 3. I think that this is a really great example of catered found footage. I think there is a subgroup of that there, y'all. There are so many found footage movies people absolutely adore, and I cannot stand. And it has nothing to do with filmmaker capabilities or talent or ideas. It just has to do with we all have our little boxes we're trying to check.
Yeah.
And this just genuinely didn't check very many for me. I love going into the woods. That's such a like a genuine like found footage going back to our roots, pun not
Yeah.
intended. And I think that I loved that, and I love sibling stories. That's another thing that often will. There was no love triangle in this, thank God. Nobody was sleeping with somebody's brother. There was
Yeah.
none of that crap. So extra points for that. But no, I just think this is a really great example of a filmmaker that's passionate about found footage, but is definitely has like maybe a more specific audience, at least for this film. I can't speak to other things that he's made, but this felt
Right.
like this has its very specific audience, and unfortunately, that just wasn't me this time around.
Yeah. I definitely can understand that.
Yeah. Let's put up our little things. The last time we did this, my cat turned the computer off. Remember?
You can
Um,
scare the crap out of me.
he's not over here, so we should be cool this time. Let's see. I'm not sure. Did you have somewhere specific you want to start for
Well,
spoilers?
I'll just say, because we kind of touched on it a little bit, and it's not
Okay.
the most spoilery because it's happens right in the beginning. But like you
Mhm.
said, there is it starts off chaotic,
Strong.
and I
Yeah.
think I think then going into a 20-minute monologue is where it
Yeah.
kind of like, why did we go this route? But like
Yeah.
this is where I said like it's very indie, it's very low budget.
Mhm.
The The effects weren't the strongest in the beginning. I think they got progressively better, but,
Oh,
like,
like the
when his
eyes in the
the eye
beginning.
stuff.
Yeah, but you got to give it to them. They didn't go CGI or heavy edits. It was
Correct.
very like, I will always appreciate low budget practical than I will ever appreciate CGI. Like I do give them props there.
Yeah, and and especially, like we talk about, obviously, um, 2025, found footage has been around for a while now. We have
Yeah.
moved away from the realism of found footage.
Yes. Yes.
So I do appreciate people who don't go the CGI route
For
because
sure.
as much I don't really care about CGI in my horror for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not a big.
I learned
It's
to
kind of not my
adapt.
thing.
It's what's
Yeah.
happening. I learned to
Yeah.
adapt to it. But in found footage,
Yeah.
that's the one subgenre of horror where it's like I get that practical effects are more expensive. However, if the goal of the movie is to replicate some realism,
Yeah, I
we
agree with
should
that.
not have CGI blood. So I did appreciate that. I thought it
Yes.
started the movie off interesting enough to
I agree.
captivate me.
I agree.
I think where it did start to fall a little bit for me, and I think this is why I appreciated Roger's overacting because it kind of like was a shiny little distraction from what was happening
Oh,
in the
sure.
middle of it. Because like then he discovers the tape, like or a phone or a camera, whatever, and we see what was happening with his sister and her
Yep.
friends, and it felt so Blair Witchy to me. And then it even felt, and I know I'm gonna ruin this, although it's not your favorite anyways, but I'm gonna mention a movie that you don't like. It even got very Book of Shadows,
I hate Book of Shadows. Yeah.
like with the Ouija board,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a medium, like it just got a little hokey, but I appreciated that they had a vision, they went for it. Did it fully
Yeah.
stick? Not really, but I had I liked the sister, I liked the brother. The other characters, I feel like we needed to find something else for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I like the way I think that the story itself, while maybe based in some cliches, I think that material was handled well. I have no qualms with the story. It's more about maybe some of the shot decisions, or yeah, some of the like the I forget what they're called. Not side characters. That's not the word I'm looking for. But the like not the main characters, but the other people, like you said, they kind of pulled me out of it at different times when they came in. But I think that, yeah, I mean, as much as this wasn't for me overall, I can't deny that it kept me in the whole time. Like I never, like I said, you know me. I'll get three movies, 3 minutes into a movie and be like, I'm not watching this shit. Like,
Yeah.
and this was not like that. So I
Yeah.
think that's a testament, at least, to its ability to grab it. Because when that guy turns around in the very beginning and he's got the bloody eyes, I said, oh damn, because I was expecting something like that, right out the gate. And then I was thinking, I'm like, well, I can't believe I've never seen this before. And then, and obviously it is relatively newer, but, and then, it got that part of it, I think was fine. And I think the way that it went with the gore and the spooks and stuff was fine. It's just, there weren't enough of them for me. I would have liked more. And to be fair, while working on a budget, there is more things that can be done. We've seen it. We know
Yeah.
that from other films and from working with countless filmmakers. We can count, but it sounds better if you say countless. Anyway, and so I think that like there was really good stuff here, and it's I've said this about other filmmakers. It's absolutely enough to make me watch other projects for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So,
'Cause
was there anything else spoiler wise I wanted to talk about? The sister talked about. Yeah, I mean,
I will say there were some funny lines, and this is why I think it was a little bit comedic for me.
yeah.
When they first, like, he's entering the woods and he runs into the random guy in the mask,
Yes.
and he's just like, "Oh yeah, running into a random guy in a mask, that's not creepy."
Yeah, he's
And
just
it's
like,
just like he had so many little one-liners. Because like, I will say, whether this movie is your cup of tea or not, I will say for
mhm,
myself, and I think you guys can tell just based off of everything that I've been saying, something about this actor and the character,
mhm.
I feel like I wish it had a better movie for him, but like he's the reason why I stayed so into this movie.
Yeah.
Um, I just was a huge fan of him in this movie, the way his line delivery, it again, because it's kind of overacting, I felt that it was
Yeah.
intentional. So I felt like the hokiness of this movie, and it
Mhm.
made it more like, okay, I can relax and have fun with them rather than this being like a
Super.
super serious movie that you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, because I think if I watch it through a comedy lens, I feel like, yeah, it changes the whole experience rather than trying to watch a movie that's taking itself too seriously. Because as much as, not that the project isn't taken serious, but just that there is the capability of finding the humor in some of the parts of making it. I think it's, yeah, I think that changes the experience for sure. Because otherwise, it just comes across like I don't know, like it's just like you're waiting for, I don't know, for something else to happen. I'm not
yeah,
sure, but either way though, there's no denying the character and the actor being, I think, what keeps you engaged. And even if like you start to kind of lose interest in the mystery because it's kind of taking a little while to get there, you're not willing to give up. You're like, no, I got to stick around and figure it out. And I already mentioned this, but I love that it's siblings. I love when it's either friends or siblings or something like along those lines, because there's always a stupid love interest. And it's not that I don't like that or I have like an issue with it, but I just really love when they explore other relationship dynamics and found footage, because there's typically that same stuff over and over again. So, and I think that, I really would have loved to have seen it go more in the mockumentary style. Now that I've said that out loud, I just can't get out of my head that I think that would have made it much stronger for me. But again, I think this is just an example of something that works for who it's meant to work for,
Yeah.
so. Okay.
And viewers, you can find this movie on
Oh.
Found TV, as well as I'm pretty sure Tubi and
I think it's
probably
on
all the
TV.
other free streaming services.
Yeah.
Because I know
think
this movie I've
Found,
seen different places.
yeah. Found is going to be where you get, I think, less interruptions. They don't seem as overwhelming. Tubi turns like an hour and a half long experience into a 4-hour movie. Oh Lord. But now's a good time to remind you that should you be contemplating getting the annual subscription for Found, you can save 10% off with keyword voices at Cash Out. Okay. Well, all right. Any other thoughts?
Nope, those are all my thoughts on A Cold Grave.
A Cold Grave, 2024. Next week, what are we talking about next week? Oh, next week we're talking Jabberjaw, which, if you're interested in seeing before the episode, is also on Found. And didn't you say it was somewhere else?
I saw it on Fandango at Home, formerly known as Vudu.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that it had the switch over. Okay, so there you have it. Jabberjaw. We'll be covering that next week. So you got time to watch it before we discuss it. But anyway, okay. Well, you have our little banner there. Okay, well, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this episode of Found Footage Fridays. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week following, and we will see you next week.